before I get into the preseason game, just wanted to give everyone an update that the Browns have traded offensive tackle Tyrone Wheatley to the New England Patriots for running back Pierre Strong Jr. So the running back 2 slot is kind of a question mark right now due to Jerome Ford's hamstring injury. This is Strong's second year in the league. He was a 4th-round pick by the Patriots out of South Dakota State in the 2022 draft. He had 100 yards on 10 carries in his rookie season, also a touchdown in there as well. He returned 5 kickoffs, played a little bit less than 150 special team snaps, so it seems like he had a very similar role in the Patriots team than that Jerome Ford had in the Browns team last year, where he didn't get too many carries on the ground, but he was a contributor in special teams. This could mean that Jerome Ford might be out for a little while longer. It might not be until a few weeks or maybe even longer into the regular season until we see him back in a Browns uniform playing in football games. And for guys like Demetric Felton and John Kelly, this does mean that the Browns did feel like with Jerome Ford out, they did need to make an addition in the running back room. So maybe those guys aren't exactly moving up in the position depth chart. They did feel like a move was needed in order to shore up the running back room. But getting into the preseason game, the Browns lose 33-32 in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs. I mean, win-loss results aren't really important in the preseason, but you would also like to escape injury, which the Browns did not do. The start of the game could not have gone any worse for them on that front, as Jakeem Grant went down on the opening kickoff, had to be carted off the field. I feel horrible for the guy because last offseason, he was having a really impactful training camp. It looked like he was going to be a really good contributor, and then he goes down in practice. And so this past year, he's just been rehabbing that Achilles injury, trying to get back to where he can get on the field again. He's been doing that throughout all of this training camp, and then he finally gets an opportunity to show what he can do in a Browns uniform, and just the first play that he's involved in just didn't go right for him. I guess it's just not meant to be these past couple years for Jakeem Grant, but hopefully there's some positive news. I haven't seen an update yet, but the way he was carted off the field and yelling in pain, it's probably not good news. Denzel Ward also in concussion protocol. He's had this happen way too many times for it to be comfortable moving forward. I really didn't want to put the injury prone tag onto him. You can go back and watch my cornerback preview where I do kind of I made a point to avoid saying injury prone for him just because it's not like he's been suffering any debilitating season-long ending injuries, but it does seem like every year he does get these concussion protocol things where he's missing, 3-4 games at a time, and that is going to hamper Denzel Ward in his career moving forward. And again, you can only, you only have so many concussions before you start to think about his long-term future. So I'm hoping, again, maybe this is just something that isn't that huge of a deal, but with the amount of concussions Ward has had and how long it's kept him out of action before, not a good look. Jordan Kunaszyk also suffering a torn MCL, so just another hit to the special teams unit. Kunaszyk is a linebacker, didn't get too many defensive snaps, but he has been a really solid presence for the Browns special teams the past year or so. And speaking of the special teams, I really have no idea what's going on with Cade York. He missed his first extra point, but he got run into. He went down holding his leg. He went to the medical tent thinking maybe he's going to be out of action for a while, but then he comes back, actually makes a few kicks, with the obvious joke being that, whatever happened to him, it knocked sense into his kicking game or something like that. But then came clutch time where he had a blocked kick, which it didn't look like the kick was going to be all that good, even if it wasn't blocked. Doesn't inspire confidence either way, whether it's because it was blocked or just not that great of a kick. We have no idea what, forget game to game, we have no idea what kick by kick Cade York is going to do. We have no idea if it's going to be a shank or through the uprights or some kind of knuckleball extra point that just barely makes it. We're not sure we're getting out of Cade York, and for what the Browns want to do this year, that's not a place where you want your kicking game to be. So back to the actual events of the preseason game. At the start of the game, a handoff was fumbled and lost for the Browns. It looked like we were going to be in for a rough watch until Juan Thornhill got a pick six against his former team. That did jumpstart the Browns offense, who was most of their success for the first team anyway was against some of the Chiefs' backup players, which is a double-edged sword because you would like to see, your first team offense getting success against another team's backups, but it does it's a little bit iffy when that's what it takes in order to start consistent success. Although, again, on that first drive, it got shortened by a fumble. Who knows? Maybe if there's not a fumble there, they do get a lot more going. Watson throwing a touchdown pass to David Njoku was encouraging to see. The organization really thinks that connection can work, as that's why they gave Njoku that large extension that they gave him. The secondary in general had a pretty good game. at least as far as the first team goes. Rodney McLeod getting an interception. John Kelly getting a rushing touchdown in there as well. That has to bode well for him, although, again, the acquisition of Pierre Strong Jr. kind of signaling that the Browns organization really wants to kind of improve the running back room with Jerome Ford, with his injury situation up in the air. Caleb Biggers had the defense's second pick six after the ball was deflected into his grasp, but I thought overall he had kind of a pretty rough game. He probably won't survive roster cuts. The Chiefs' depth was just better than the Browns' depth. I feel like that's a lot of the explanation for the second half comeback for the Chiefs. I mean, Blaine Gabbert was having a really good game. Kellen Mond on the opposite side for the Browns, not really as much. I don't think the second half comeback was really all that indicative of starter versus starter action. Again, I think it's just a case of, the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Of course, they're going to have a pretty good team from top to bottom, so I'm not surprised that their depth was able to kind of make things work against the Browns' depth players. But the Cade York issue, I think that is the most concerning thing coming out of this, aside from all of the impact injuries, obviously, but that's not really something the Browns can do anything about besides wait for them to get healthy. But again, maybe Cade York actually is injured. Again, he did go into the medical tent, but he came back out and made some kicks afterwards. So again, that's the situation I have no clue what to even make of. But what I do know is that even when he's been healthy, Cade York has been a really iffy kicker as of, essentially since the second half of last season. We have no idea what we're going to get from him. Again, from kick to kick, it's not even like some games he's on, some games he's not. It is legitimately from drive to drive, kick to kick. It is just completely all over the board as far as Cade York and his accuracy. We know he has the power to make 60-yard field goals, but if you can't get it between the uprights, it doesn't matter if you can make it from the moon. If you're going to miss every kick, not really going to make a difference. So hopefully the Browns are at least exploring other options. At least they're on the phone with guys like Robbie Gould or Mason Crosby, at least gauging some interest just in case this goes south quickly. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did make it this far into it, leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more like it. Let me know what you thought of this game down in the comments below if you'd like to, and I'll see you at the next one.